Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Igcse Biology Help. In today's video, I'm going to be solving the October-November 2022 Paper 2 Variant 1. This is the extended paper. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my videos in order to receive more videos like this one. Let's start solving. Question number 1 says, which process provides an organism with the raw materials needed for tissue repair? Of course, this is going to be nutrition, because nutrition provides the raw materials needed for respiration, which provides energy for the organism. So our answer is going to be C. Question number 2, which name is given to a group of individuals that can reproduce to produce fertile offspring? Of course, this is a species because this is the definition of species. Question 3, root hair cells are found on plant roots. Which feature is present in a root hair cell but not in a sperm cell? We know that root hair cells are plant cells. They are found in plants, and sperm cells are animal cells. So we only have cell walls in our plant cells, and animal cells don't have cell walls. They only have cell membranes. So our answer is going to be B. Question number 4, the diagram shows a cross-section of part of a leaf. Which type of cell carries out the most photosynthesis? Now this question is actually a question that most students get tricked in. They are here asking for the most photosynthesis. This means that they are asking about the palisade mesophyll cell, not the spongy mesophyll cell, because spongy mesophyll cell performing photosynthesis, but it's not the most photosynthesis. So the most is in palisade mesophyll cell, this layer, and this layer also has chlorophyll and does photosynthesis, but it's not as much as A, which is the palisade mesophyll cell. So our answer is going to be A. Question number 5, some examples of substances moving across membranes are listed. Number 1, glucose molecules into the epithelium that lines the small intestine. 2, nitrate ions from a dilute solution in a soil into a more concentrated solution in root hair cells. 3 says, water molecules from mesophyll cells into the air spaces of a leaf. For which examples must oxygen be present? Now, if oxygen is needed, this means that there is respiration. So active transport uses transpiration, which uses energy. So right here, we're going to be looking for examples that have active transport. Glucose molecules into the epithelium that lines the small intestine. This is an active transport process, so we're going to be ticking it for now. Number 2 says nitrate ions from a dilute solution in a soil into a more concentrated solution in root hair cells. This is of course an active transport process as well, so we're going to be also ticking it off. Number 3 says water molecules from mesophyll cell into air spaces. This is not active transport, so our answer is going to be B because we only chose 1 and 2. Number 6, the graph shows how the turgor pressure inside a plant cell varies when the cell is placed in external solutions of different concentrations. What is the state of the cell at point X? Now right here, we can see that the concentration is decreasing as the time passes over here, and also the turgor pressure inside the cell is decreasing. When the turgor pressure inside the cell decreases, this means that the water is getting out of the cell. So when the turgor pressure is high, that means that there is liquid or there is some water inside the cell. So when it's low, this means that the water is actually moved out of the cell. So our answer is going to be C. It has lost water and it is flaccid. Number 7, the diagram shows a length of DNA. What is the sequence of bases in the unlabeled strand of DNA starting from the top of the diagram? Now, as we all know that the A actually binds with the T, and the C binds with the G. T, and then over here it's going to be A, and this is going to be C. This is going to bind with G. This is going to be binding with T and G. So our answer is going to be B. Number 8, amylase and pepsin are digestive enzymes. The shapes of their active sites are different. What causes the difference in the shapes of their active sites? Now, as we all know, when the active site is different, this means that the protein that formed this enzyme is actually different as well because it binds with different substrates. So our answer is going to be they have different sequence of amino acid which leads to different proteins that will form different enzymes. 9. The rate of an enzyme controlled reaction decreases when the temperature falls below the optimum. Some possible reasons why it slows down are listed. Number 1, the enzyme molecules are denatured. Number 2, the molecules have less kinetic energy. The shapes of the substrate molecules are changed. There are less frequent collisions between molecules. Which reasons cause the reaction to slow down? Now over here they said that the temperature falls below the optimum. That doesn't indicate that the enzyme is denatured. So this statement is going to be incorrect because denaturation only occurs when the temperature is higher than the optimum. So let's read number 2. The molecules have less kinetic energy. This is a correct statement because at low temperatures there is less kinetic energy, which leads to less frequent collisions and the reaction will be slower. Number 3, the shapes of the substrate molecules are changed. This is incorrect again because this process occurs when there is denaturation. So in this situation, there is no denaturation, so we're not going to be choosing 3. 4, there are less frequent collisions between molecules. This is also correct because this is a result of less kinetic energy in the reaction. So our answer is going to be 2 and 4, which is D. Number 10, which description of an enzyme catalyzed reaction is correct? A says the substrate binds to an enzyme with the same shape and the product is formed. Of course, this is an incorrect statement because the substrate doesn't bind with the same shape, it binds with a complementary shape. So both of these are going to be wrong. C is saying the product binds to an enzyme with a complementary shape and a substrate is formed. Of course, this is an incorrect statement because the product does not bind. It is actually the substrate that binds to the enzyme. So our answer is going to be D. 11. 4 test tubes are set up as shown. The test tubes are kept at 20 degrees in a water bath in the light for 2 hours. In which test tube does the hydrogen carbonate indicator turn yellow? So we know that the hydrogen carbonate indicator turns yellow when there is higher carbon dioxide than oxygen. This indicates that there is more respiration than photosynthesis. So it's going to be either B or C because they are covered. And we know respiration is more than photosynthesis when the test tube is covered or when the plant is in a dark area. So respiration occurs so it can break down its energy stores, so it can provide glucose so the plant has energy. So our answers are not going to be A or D. Let's see over here. B is showing that there is the leaves and C is empty. So of course our answer is going to be B because the plant is the one that breaks down the glucose into energy. The substances listed are found in the leaf of a plant. Which substance is obtained from the soil? Now we know we can only obtain water and mineral ions from the soil, so our answer is going to be D. 13. The cholera bacterium produces toxins that cause chloride ions to be secreted into the small intestine. What is the immediate effect of this on the water potential of blood in the intestinal capillaries and on the water potential of the contents of the small intestine? Now we know that the water potential moves from high concentration to low concentration, and so the blood has a lower water potential than the stomach. So the water potential is going to increase there, and it's going to be decreased in the small intestine because there is an increase in the chloride ions. So our answer is going to be C. 14. The graph shows the concentration of maltose in different parts of the alimentary canal. What causes the change in concentration at X? Now over here we can see that the maltose concentration increased as we are moving from the mouth into the small intestine. This indicates that the maltase enzyme actually broke down a lot of maltose as we moved from the mouth into the small intestine. So our answer is going to be C. 15. The diagram shows a bean seedling soon after it has germinated. Where is the most water absorbed? Now, of course, it's going to be at the roots, around the root hair cells. So our answer is going to be C. 16. Scientists investigate the movement of substances in a plant. They cut off, they cut a ring of tissue from the stem. Removing the tissue removes some of the transport vessels found around the edge of the stem. A few days later, they notice swelling above the area where the tissue has been removed. What causes the swelling? Now, the swelling actually occurred because they removed the tissue, which removes the transport vessels such as phloem and the xylem. So let's see the options. They said phloem vessels have been removed and sucrose cannot move to the sink. Now, of course, this is a correct statement because we know that the phloem vessels actually carry sucrose and they move to the sink and not to the source. Our answer is not going to be B or D because they don't move to the source, they move to the sink. So let's see, option C says xylem have been removed and minerals cannot move to the sink. Now this is partially correct because they move to the sink, the minerals move to the sink, but they are not carried by the xylem. They are carried by another vessel. So our answer is going to be A. 17. The diagram shows the outside of a human heart. Which structure is coronary artery? Of course, it's going to be D. 18. What happens in the heart when the blood flows from the atria to the ventricles? Now, of course, we know that the atria muscles will contract so the blood can flow through the atria muscles, and the atrioventricular valves will open so the blood can move from the atria to the ventricle, and of course the muscles of the ventricle will relax so the blood can flow through the ventricle. So our answer is going to be B. 19. A species is a bacterium that can cause food poisoning. Which word describes this species? Of course, it's not going to be an antibody because it's not inside the body, and it's not a disease because it is not spread from one human to another. It is spread through food. It is a pathogen because it is something that causes diseases and it causes problems in our body. And it's not spread from one human to another. It is found on other stuff. So our answer is going to be C. 20. What is the approximate percentage of oxygen in expired air? Now we know that in expired air it's less than when we inhale it. So our answer is going to be C, 16%. 21. Which row shows processes that all use energy from respiration? Now we know that diffusion is a passive process, so it does not use energy. So we're not going to be choosing from B or C. We're going to be choosing from A or D. So right now, in A, it says that cell division uses energy. So far this is correct. Osmosis, it doesn't use energy. So our answer is going to be D because the statement in A is incorrect over here. Osmosis is a passive process, just like diffusion. 22. What is the word equation for anaerobic respiration in yeast? We know that this is actually A, which is goes into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Which substances are excreted from the human body? Of course, all of them are excreted. The carbon dioxide is excreted as we exhale from our bodies. Urea is excreted in urine, and water is excreted in sweat. So our answer is going to be C. 24. What is a response to a low concentration of glucose in the blood? Of course, as we all know that glucagon will be produced. This is the hormone that actually converts glycogen, which is the glucose storage in our body, to glucose. So our answer is going to be B. 25. Which structure can reduce how much light enters the eye? This is actually the iris, so our answer is going to be B. 26. The diagram shows a section through human skin. What are the structures labeled X, Y, and Z? Of course, over here I can see that Y is actually a hair erector muscle. So we're not going to be choosing from C or A because Y is a hair erector muscle. So let's see, X over here shows a receptor cells over here because they are near the surface, and Z actually shows the sweat glands over here. So our answer is going to be B. 27. A disease cannot be treated with antibiotics. What could be the reason for this? Number 1 says it is not a bacterial disease. Of course, this is a reason that antibiotics cannot treat a disease because antibiotics only treat bacterial diseases. So if it's not a bacterial disease, of course the antibiotics cannot do anything for it. 2. The pathogen is a virus. Again, this is the same thing like number 1. It is not a bacterial disease, so anything that is not bacterial, it will not work with antibiotics, so we're also going to be choosing 2. 3. The patient has become resistant to the antibiotic. Of course, this is not a reason that prevents all the antibiotics from treating something, because if the patient is resistant to one specific antibiotic, he can use another type of antibiotics. So our answer is going to be A. 28. The diagram shows a strawberry plant. These plants can reproduce asexually by producing plantlets. Why is this method of reproduction useful to strawberry farmers? Of course, anything that reproduces asexually, it is actually mitosis and not meiosis. So we're not going to be choosing A or B right now. We're going to be choosing between C and D because it is mitosis. Plantlets are produced by mitosis and are genetically different. Of course, this is an incorrect statement because they are genetically identical. So our answer is going to be D. 29. Which statement about human gametes is correct? A says the female gamete has an acrosome and is non-motile. Of course, this is incorrect because they don't have acrosome. This is something that is in the sperm cells. B says the female gamete has a jelly coating and is motile. Of course, this is incorrect because the female gametes are not motile. They are fixed in their position. So this is incorrect. C says the male gamete has a flagellum and is non-motile. Of course, this is an incorrect statement again because the male gamete is motile because it has a flagellum. D says the male gamete has an acrosome and is motile. Of course, this is a correct statement because as we know that the female gametes are fixed in position, they are fat, meaning that they are big in size, and they are few. So this is something that will help you to study this part in the reproduction. 30. The diagram shows the stages of protein synthesis in a cell. Which row identifies molecules 1, 2, and 3? Over here we can see that number 1 is actually the DNA, so we're not going to be choosing from B or D. Number 2 is actually going to be the mRNA, which will take a copy from the DNA into the cytoplasm so it can produce amino acids that are going to be transcribed into proteins. So our answer is going to be C. 31. Which description of stem cells is correct? As we know that stem cells produce or divide by mitosis and not meiosis. So far we're going to be choosing between B and C. Now B says specialized cells that divide by mitosis to produce daughter cells that may become further specialized for specific functions. This is incorrect because they don't become further specialized. So our answer is going to be C because this is an incorrect statement over here. 32. In some breeds of cattle, hair color shows codominance. The coats may be red, white, or roan, a mixture of red and white hairs. What are the expected phenotypes when a parent with red coat is crossed with a parent with a brown coat? Now over here we have to do a cross. You can do it with two ways. I'm going to be doing it with a Punnett square right now. So this is a Punnett square. You're going to be putting the genotypes of both parents. So I'm going to be putting the red coat over here and the brown coat up here. And you're going to be drawing like lines like this to separate. So this is a very organized way to cross because some people will get confused from the other way, and this is also the way that you should use in paper 4. So this will cross to produce double R's over here, and then we're going to be producing an HR and an HW. Here it will produce HR and HR, and here it will produce HR and HW. So we have a 50-50% chance of getting a red coat and a 50% chance of getting a wrong coat. So our answer is going to be A. 33. Which statement is correct? Discontinuous variation is mainly caused by environmental factors. Of course, this is an incorrect statement. B says ionizing radiation and some chemicals decrease the rate of mutation. Of course, this is an incorrect statement because ionizing radiation and some chemicals that are mutagens may cause the increased rate of mutation. C says a gene mutation is the change in the base sequence of a DNA molecule. Of course, this is a correct statement, so our answer is going to be C. 34. A person who is homozygous for the sickle cell allele has a child with a person that is heterozygous. What is the likelihood that the offspring would be homozygous for the sickle cell allele? Now over here we know that the sickle cell allele is actually a recessive trait. So let's consider, I'll just be choosing any letter. I'm just going to be choosing an H, for example. It's going to be one of the parents is going to be a homozygous recessive, and then another parent is going to be a heterozygous over here, meaning that they have one capital and one small. We're going to be crossing just like I did in another question, the Punnett square. I'm going to be adding the genotypes over here and one of the genotypes again over here. We're going to be crossing. This is going to be giving me a heterozygous. This is going to give me a homozygous recessive. This is going to give me a heterozygous, and this is another homozygous recessive. So we have a 50% chance that it's going to be a homozygous for the sickle cell allele. So our answer is going to be C, 50%. Question 35. The diagram shows a food web. How many organisms are feeding at more than one trophic level? So first of all, we can see that the eagle is feeding on 3 organisms over here, the hare, and the eagle is feeding on the rabbit as well, and the goose. So that is considered 1. Number 2, we can see that the stoat as well, it is feeding on the hare, the rabbit, and the shrew. So this is another 1 as well. We can see as well that the goose over here, we can see that it is actually feeding on the heather, the producer, and the beetle. So this is the 3rd one. So our answer is going to be D. 36. The diagram shows part of the nitrogen cycle. Which row shows the correct labels? So over here we know that number 1 is actually denitrification, because we know that the nitrate ions have been transferred back into the atmosphere. So we're going to be choosing between C and D for this question because we know that number 1 is denitrification. So A and B are incorrect. Let's see the other steps. Number 2, it is showing us that the nitrate ions have been transferred into plants. So this is actually absorption. So we're going to have to choose number 2 as absorption. So this is answer C. Let's see the other numbers and the other steps. 3 shows that it is ammonium ions have been transferred, or they have been transformed into nitrite ions. This is actually nitrification. So our answer is going to be C. 37. Which statement explains why bacteria are used in genetic engineering? A says bacteria can only manufacture simple molecules. This is an incorrect statement. B, bacteria growing in a laboratory cause ethical concerns. Of course, this is an incorrect statement because bacteria do not cause ethical concerns. Ethical concerns are when, for example, animals are being used. C says bacteria have a slow reproduction rate. This is incorrect. Bacteria reproduce asexually. This means that they are very fast in reproduction. D says bacteria have plasmids. This is a correct statement, so our answer is going to be D. 38. The graph shows the growth of the fungus penicillium and its production of the antibiotic penicillin in a fermenter. Which stage of penicillin growth curve produces the highest concentration of penicillin? So actually we can see right here that the highest concentration was during the stationary phase over here in this area. So our answer is going to be C. 39. Which statement about sustainable resources is correct? A says they include fossil fuels. If they include fossil fuels, this means that they are non-renewable. So this is an incorrect answer. B says they include non-renewable resources. Again, this is an incorrect statement, just like A, because sustainable resources should only contain renewable resources. C says their production rate is equal to their removal rate. This is a correct answer because as long as you can produce rapidly this energy, then it is a renewable resource. D says their production rate is smaller than the removal rate. This is an incorrect answer because they should be equal. 40. What is the least sustainable method of helping to maintain a population of fish in a lake? A says allow only female fish to be caught and eaten. This will decrease the population of the fish in a lake because female fish produce, or they are the types of fish that would reproduce to produce another fish. So by removing female fish, there will be no reproduction of new fish. Also, the population of fish will decrease. So this is not a sustainable method of helping to maintain the population of fish. B says allowing fish at certain times of the year. This is a sustainable method because by allowing fishing at certain times, you will decrease the risk of overfishing and decreasing the population by overfishing. So this is a sustainable method. C says only allow fishing in certain areas of the lake. Again, this is a good method to maintain the population of fish. This is because you will again help to prevent the issue of overfishing. D says only allow the largest fish to be caught and eaten. This is also a sustainable method because by allowing larger fish to be caught, you will allow smaller fish to grow and there will be less predators or attacks on the small fish. This will allow a higher reproduction rate and the smaller fish will grow up and produce again to produce a new population. So our answer is going to be A because it is the least sustainable method and this method actually decreases the population and it doesn't maintain it. This was the end of our exam. Thank you for watching and make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my videos for more videos like this one.